Okay, so I'm talking about systems of inequalities here. So a system of inequalities is a solution of a system of linear inequalities. It's an ordered pair of the solution of each inequality in the system. The graph of a system is the graph of all solutions in the system, and the graph of the system is the intersection of each plane. Things to remember is if it's greater than or less than equations, we graph with a broken line because the equation is not included in the solution. Greater than or equal to or less than or equal to equations are graphed with a solid line because the equation is included in the solution. So we're going to be graphing basically two different inequalities and then figuring out what direction to shade, and then the overlap is actually our solution. So here we're going to be graphing 2x plus y is less than or equal to 13, and actually I'm going to change this because I don't want it to be 13. I can't graph 13 on here. So I'm going to change it to, let's say, 5. Okay, so my first step, so 2x plus y is less than or equal to 5, and then x minus y is greater than 5. So first I'm going to graph 2x plus y is less than or equal to 5, and to do that I'm going to subtract 2x from each side. Okay, so subtract 2x. So my equation is y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 5. So to graph that, I'm going to start at positive 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I start here, and then my slope is negative 2. So I go down to right 1, down to right 1. Okay, and when I graph this, I'm going to graph it with a solid line because it's less than or equal to. So the equal to tells me it's going to be a solid line. Okay. Now, if I were shading just this line, it would be less than, so I'd be shading down below. So I'd be shading all of this area right here. Okay, I'm not done yet though. So now I have to graph x minus y is greater than 5. So my first step is I'm going to subtract x. So I get negative y is greater than negative x plus 5. Now I'm going to divide everything by negative 1 to get y alone. And when I do that, I have to flip my inequality sign. So I'm going to be graphing y is less than x minus 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I start at negative 5, and I'm going to go up and over 1. And I'm going to be graphing this one with a broken dashed line. It's really hard to graph straight lines on here, sorry. And now, whenever I go to graph this one, y is less than. So at this line, I'm going to use this color. Okay. For this line, y is less than, so I'm going to be shading down below as well, which means the overlap is my solution. So my solution is actually this area right here where the two highlighted colors overlap. So any point in this area is part of the solution. For the next one, I have negative x plus 2y is greater than negative 4. So I need to, and y is less than or equal to negative 1. So to graph the first equation, I'm going to add x to each side. So I have 2y is greater than x minus 4. I divide by 2. So my first equation I'm graphing is y is greater than 1/2 x minus 2. So I start at negative 2. I'm going to go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. I can go down 1, left 2. And I'm going to be graphing this with a broken line. And y is greater than, so I'm going to shade above it since it's greater than. So the area above my line is being shaded. I now have to graph y is less than or equal to negative 1. So that is going to be a flat horizontal line going through -1, and it's going to be solid since it's equal to. And if y is less than, it's going to be, let me change my color here. It's going to be the area below the line since it's less than, which means the overlap is my solution, which is this area right here. So any point within that area is part of the solution. And that is it. So you're graphing both of your lines. Sometimes you can even have up to 3 lines or 4 lines. But you graph your lines and then shade, and the overlap of the shading is your solution. Now it is possible if you have 2 parallel lines. So let's say I had a parallel line going this way and it's greater than. So I'm shading on this side. And then I have another parallel line. Imagine those are parallel. And it's less than, so I'm shading this way. So the shading never ends up overlapping. And in that situation, we would have a no solution. Because there is no way that the parallel lines, the shading will ever overlap. Now, on the other side, if you have the 2 parallel lines, and you're shading towards each other, then you will have a solution. So if this one was shading this way, and then the other one is shading this way, then of course they do overlap. So then this area in the middle would be the solution. And that is it for graphing linear inequalities.